Okay, next 13 minutes we're going to disassemble, prep, reassemble, and adjust drum brakes. I will monologue next to zero. I'm not going to waste your time. Let's do this. I know these can be confusing. Here we go.
Equipment check. What's required? What's recommended?
Let's start by breaking all the nuts loose on the wheels. Parking brakes off, so chock a front wheel. Jack it up right next to the drain plug on the rear diff, and then put your jack stands right under the leaf spring plates. If you live in the Rust Belt or you just happen to be kind of crusty, use some PB Blaster, some brake free, and that's going to help get that drum off. I'm also going to use these two bolts to do the drum removal trick, which you can also do on front rotors. Go ahead and put a bolt in here, and then crank it down with your ratchet and watch magic happen. Pull that drum right off, and then you see all these weird springs and gizmos. What the heck is that? Oh, it's a drum brake, and it's been used on cars since 1902. Clean that dinosaur off with some brake free. Just kind of get all that brake dust out of there. As you can see, mine are actually pretty clean. I'm at 95,000 miles, but they're not looking too bad. And check this out. 4 millimeters left on the old shoes, not pads, but shoes. Check out my new one. 5 millimeters. Drum shoes last forever. Okay, let's get started. Take your favorite needle nose pliers, I got long neck ones, and pop off that return spring and unhook it on the other end. Another great tool you can use in lieu of pliers on some of these springs is a hook pick. Next, take off the lever spring and the shoe lever itself. Alright, now we're taking off this big boy spring on the parking brake strut. Note that it's a different color. Each driver and passenger side is different. Okay, next is the shoe hold down on this left side. We're just going to turn it and it can fall through that notch right here. And then we'll pull the rod out the back. Okay, now we're unhooking the anchor spring at the bottom. The whole front shoe with the parking brake lever attached to it should be able to drop out now. Next, remove the rear shoes, shoe hold down assembly. Okay, the rear shoe and all of its parking brake attachments should pop right out. Now we're going to disconnect the parking brake cable right here by just flexing that spring up and kind of finagling it out. Just like that. If you're having trouble, your parking brake is still on. This is the wheel cylinder that pushes the shoes outward when you press the brakes. If it's greasy or covered in gunk, it's probably bad and you should replace it. Okay, we've got the whole rear shoe assembly here on the operating table, and our main focus is removing these two C-clips so we can further dissect it and get the shoe free so we can replace it. I like taking a flathead screwdriver in my pliers. I'm not going to reuse these, and neither should you, because they're cheap. They come with your hardware kit. Go ahead and pop that spring out so we can remove the whole parking brake strut set. Okay, here's what you and I just removed on the driver's side. Go ahead and remove it on the passenger side, and even though most of the parts are marked, please don't mix them up. Take your grandpa's favorite wire brush and go ahead and break any gunk free. My drum brake's actually pretty clean for its age, but that doesn't mean we neglect it. take about every piece of loose rust you can get, and then I like using anti-seize. A lot of people do. Anti-seize is good to 1600 degrees, and drum brakes won't even hit 800 degrees, not even on the hottest day. So what we're actually doing is putting a thin coat of that anti-seize on every part that a moving piece will touch. So if you got anti-seize, or you see me have anti-seize here, go ahead and put it there yourself. And you can see it on yours as well. You can see the marred paint or a tiny bit of rust of where it's built up. And then of course I've also applied it to the hub where the drum's going to mate up. That way that drum doesn't stick next time we go to remove it. Okay, let's disassemble the very easy to disassemble parking brake strut set and get that old spring off there. But we're going to lube up the threads here before we put it back together, after we clean it of course. And then we're also going to grease up all the points on all the levers. Basically, if metal on metal makes contact and it's going to move, let's go ahead and put a little bit of anti-seize or caliper grease on there and we're good to go. See, fast forward stuff like this because you don't want to waste your time, I don't want to waste your time, and we all just want to finish our trucks. Okay, here is everything that is going back into your truck. Now again, this is the driver's side. Pay attention to that parking brake strut set at the top that I just showed you and the spring that's on it. The driver and passenger side are different. Start by reconnecting that parking brake lever with this excellent camera angle I failed at. Here's a better one. Just like that. Go ahead and take that parking brake strut set with the proper spring and attach it to the rear shoe. Now the spring on my kit I got is orange on the driver's side and yellow on the passenger side, so take note. Go ahead and take that parking brake lever and stick that rod through it on that top big hole, and then sandwich that assembled rear shoe in between that parking brake lever and this next lever, which is called the reaction lever, but you don't really care about that. Nice. Now to test your patience, go ahead and take the new C-clips and place them over those two rods. There's uno, and there's old doso right there. Now, I like using, lineman's pliers here because they've got big square heads on them. I think they're the best thing to squeeze those C-clips down. They don't have to completely mate touch to touch, but they need to be really close. Okay, the rear shoe and all of its attachments is assembled, and we're going to go ahead and stick it up there. And then we're going to take that shoe hold down assembly from the back and also hold it on there with it. Hey, get out of the camera. If you haven't figured it out already, attaching these is just easier with your bare hands. A glove just, I don't know. You need the finesse of your phalanges. Okay, moving on to that front shoe, we're going to attach the shoe lever and then its adjusting lever spring, and then we're going to play with it because it's kind of cool. Okay, watch me struggle to get this assembled front shoe on so you too can struggle. But pay special attention to that parking brake lever and how high it has to kind of ride over this hump before it mates up exactly where it wants to go. So yeah, kind of enjoy my struggles here. Like a pro. Okay, go ahead and attach that anchor spring, but here's the catch. It's got to go behind that tab, not in front. Here's the perfect opportunity to make sure all your springs hook ends are getting all the way into their slots and not just resting on that little edge. That could be catastrophic. So here's what everything looks like now that it's attached. If you thought the shoe hold down for the front shoe was next, you are right. Look at me. No gloves, Mom. I need my fingers. What is this little guy poking through the backside? And it's a flathead screwdriver I'm using as some leverage. There's a rubber tab that you can pull back there and use anything like a screwdriver as leverage to push that shoe in so you can get this spring on the parking brake strut into its hole. Now I'm telling you, this one can be a pain, so use your pliers with some leverage like that and then really make sure it's in there. Yeah, like that. Okay, finally we're taking the funny return spring and attaching it at the bottom. Easy peasy lemons and squeezing things. Look at that. Yep. You have reassembled all the guts of your driver's side drum brake. Make sure you do the passenger side too, but I'm proud of you. I'm proud of me, but mostly I'm just proud of you. Now let's do a bit of damage control just in case you used leverage to pry that drum off. What you did is probably bent the shield on the backside, which will grind against the drum when it spins, making a loud noise. Take some pliers and just kind of wiggle it back straight. See a little bend here, itty bitty little baby? Just kind of squeeze and wiggle and you'll be able to get it right back. Put that rubber plug back in where you used that hole for leverage and use some brake cleaner to clean that drum and wipe it down with a rag. Make sure no grease is on the inside. Look at that, shiny and chrome. Okay, you got this far. Now we're going to turn this adjusting knob on the parking brake strut assembly. Tightening it is turning it towards you and loosening it is away. Now we're going to use this slot, camera angle, nice, in the back side here. That's going to give us easy access to tighten it. I'll show you how. But first, use your meat fist and kind of pound everything to the middle so when we put the drum back on, nothing is grinding. Slap a couple lug nuts on there, just gently snug them up. That way it doesn't fall off when we adjust. And here's how you adjust. You take a flathead screwdriver or similar tool and just sit there and turn that knob. Now, you know it's right when you turn the drum and you hear just a quiet kind of noise and light resistance. It should be turnable by hand, nothing crazy, and you should hear just light contact. Make sure your parking brake's not just a limp noodle, and then go ahead and plug up that adjusting port in the back of your drums. And we love anti-seize. Let's put some anti-seize on that drum so your rim does not seize to it. You will thank yourself and the next, I don't know if you ever have to do this again because drum brakes last forever. Go ahead and put your lug nuts back on, gently, just snug them up. Start them by hand, of course. And then lower that vehicle. Ooh, magic. And then let's tighten those lug nuts down to God's number, 83 foot-pounds. Here we go.
Thanks for hanging out with us. See you next time on Team Oil Drop.